Right now, somebody watching this is sitting next to someone they love, and they have not touched them in weeks. Not because they do not love them, not because something terrible happened, just because somewhere along the way, touching became something you had to think about instead of something you just did. And that little gap, that pause before you reach for someone's hand, that is where people start to disappear from each other. I know because I lived inside that gap for almost 20 years. My name is Sal, and I am going to tell you something today that might make you uncomfortable. Good. Uncomfortable is where the real stuff lives. Let me start with a question. When was the last time someone touched your face? Not bumped into you on the subway, not a handshake. I mean really touched your face, cupped your jaw, put their palm on your cheek, looked at you while they did it. If you cannot remember, that is not a small thing. That is an emergency. And I do not say that to scare you. I say that because I went years without that kind of touch. And I convinced myself I was fine. I was not fine. I was starving in a room full of food because nobody told me which plate was mine anymore. Here is your first piece of advice, and I am not waiting until the end to give it to you. Tonight, if there is someone in your life, anyone, a wife, a husband, a friend, your mother, your kid, I want you to put your hand on their face, just for a second. Do not say anything dramatic. Just touch them and look at them. Watch what happens. Watch their eyes. You will see something you forgot was there. Now, let me tell you about the lie. The lie is that intimacy is one thing, that it lives in one room of the house, and when that room closes, when the door shuts, well, that is it. You had your run. Be grateful. Now go sit in your chair and watch television and wait. I bought that lie. I bought it like it was on sale, and I could not pass it up. After my first wife passed, God rest her, I shut that whole wing of myself down, boarded it up like a condemned building. I was in my early 30s, and I decided, without anyone's permission, that the part of me that needed closeness was finished, done, retired. And here is the thing about that decision. Nobody argued with me. Nobody said, "Sal, that is insane. You are a young man." Because the world does not argue when you choose to shrink. The world only notices when you take up too much space. Shrinking? That is considered dignified, especially for men. Especially for men who have lost someone. So, I shrank. I worked. I came home. I loved my children. Do not misunderstand me. I loved them with everything I had. But there was a part of me I kept locked away because I thought that was what strong looked like. And I want to stop right here and say something directly to the men watching this. You have been lied to worse than anyone. They told you that needing touch makes you weak, that wanting to hold someone is something you are supposed to outgrow, like training wheels or crying at movies. That is garbage. That is poison. And it is killing you slowly in a way that does not show up on any blood test. I watch my friends, the guys from the neighborhood, the ones who survived the war, who built things with their hands, who were tough as anyone you have ever met. I watch them dry up like leather left in the sun, not because they were sick, because they stopped being touched. Their wives died or left. Their kids moved away, and nobody hugged them. Nobody sat close to them, and they just got smaller and smaller until they were gone. You want to live longer? I am not a doctor, but I will tell you this. Touch someone. Let someone touch you. That is not a metaphor. That is medicine. Now, let me tell you about the stages of intimacy that nobody explains to you. When you are young, intimacy is fire. It is all heat and urgency, and you cannot get enough, and you do not think about it. You just do it. You grab, you hold, you crash into each other. It is wonderful. I am not going to sit here and pretend I do not remember that. I remember it fine. I remember dancing with my first wife in the kitchen on Montague Street, the radio playing something I cannot recall, but I remember her hip against mine, and the way she smelled like gardenias and tomato sauce at the same time. That was intimacy. Pure, unthinking, alive. But nobody tells you that fire becomes something else. And they definitely do not tell you that the something else can be better. In your 40s and 50s, if you are paying attention, intimacy becomes less about fire and more about recognition. You know this person. You have seen them at their worst. You have seen the ugly crying, the bad decisions, the 3 a.m. fears, and you are still there. That is not boring. That is sacred. But we call it boring because we have been trained by movies and music and every advertisement you have ever seen to believe that if it is not burning, it is dying. Wrong. When a fire burns down to coals, those coals are hotter than the flame ever was. You just cannot see it the same way. And then you hit 60, and the world tells you it is over. The world is wrong. Here is what actually happens after 60. And I need you to listen to me carefully, because nobody, I mean nobody, talks about this honestly. Your body changes. Yes. Things slow down. Yes. Parts of you do not cooperate the way they used to. Yes. I am not pretending otherwise. Your knees hurt. Your back is a whole situation. Things that used to be automatic now require, let us say, planning. And the medical system looks at you like a machine with expired parts. They give you pamphlets. They talk to you like you are a child. They act like the physical part of closeness is all that matters. And since that is declining, well, sorry, Here is a pamphlet about hobbies. Let me tell you what the pamphlets do not say. After 60, intimacy does not disappear. It migrates. It moves from the obvious places to places you never thought to look. And if you are stubborn enough to follow it, if you do not just give up and sit in the chair, you find something that would have been impossible when you were 25. I found it. I found it late, but I found it. When I finally let myself be close to someone again, after all those years of boarding up that wing of myself, you know what surprised me? It was not the physical stuff. It was the morning stuff, the ordinary stuff. Having someone across the table from you who looks up from the newspaper and says, "Did you sleep okay?" And they actually want to know. They are not asking to be polite. They are monitoring you because you matter to them in a way that is woven into their Tuesday morning. That is intimacy. That right there. And it has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with whether your body works like it did in 1955. Let me give you another piece of advice because I promised I would not make you wait. Stop performing closeness. I see couples, young ones especially, who are performing. They hold hands for the photograph. They kiss at the restaurant so people see. They post the anniversary message with the paragraph about how lucky they are. I am not saying they do not love each other. Maybe they do. But performance and presence are not the same thing. And I will tell you when I figured that out. I was at my grandson's wedding. Beautiful event. June of 2003, out on Long Island. The flowers, the music, the whole production. And I watched these young people posing for photographs, doing the dip kiss, throwing their heads back, laughing on command for the camera. And it was lovely. It was. But then, later that night, after most people had left, I walked past the kitchen and I saw my grandson's new wife sitting on a folding chair with her shoes off, rubbing her feet. And my grandson knelt down, took her feet in his hands, and just held them. Did not say a word. She closed her eyes. And that moment, that invisible moment that nobody photographed, that nobody posted anywhere, that was the realest thing I saw all day. I wanted to grab every young couple in that room and say, forget the photographer, forget the hashtag. This, what is happening right here in this kitchen with the fluorescent lights and the dirty plates, this is it. This is marriage. This is intimacy. It is showing up in the unglamorous moments. It is the kitchen, not the ballroom. Presence is when you are washing dishes and your wife comes up behind you and puts her forehead between your shoulder blades, does not say anything, just stands there for a second. That is worth more than every anniversary post ever written. That is intimacy with no audience. and that is the only kind that counts. You want to know something embarrassing? When I was younger, I did not know how to be still with someone. I always had to be doing something, fixing something, talking about something. Silence scared me because silence meant something was wrong. It took me decades to learn that sitting in silence with someone you love is not a problem. It is the destination. It is what all that talking was trying to get to. Now, let me talk about the part nobody wants to discuss: loneliness. Specifically, the loneliness that happens when you are not alone, because that is the worst kind. I have been alone. That is hard. But I have also been in a room full of people at a family dinner, surrounded by noise and food and laughter, and felt so invisible I wanted to scream. That loneliness will eat you alive because you cannot even name it. You look around and think, I have everything. Why do I feel like this? That kind of loneliness comes from performing instead of connecting. It comes from being in the room but not being in the conversation. It comes from letting years go by where you talk about schedules and bills and what is for dinner, and you forget to talk about what scares you, what you dream about, what you wish you had done differently. I see it everywhere now. I see it at the coffee shop where two people sit across from each other looking at their phones. I see it at family dinners where everyone is catching up on facts: who got promoted, who is moving, what the kids are doing in school, but nobody is catching up on feelings. Nobody asks, are you okay? Not the polite version, the real version, where you look someone in the eye and you actually wait for an honest answer. My neighbor, a good man named Gerald, he lost his wife 3 years ago. And after the funeral, people came by for a couple of weeks, brought casseroles, flowers, the usual, and then they stopped. Because that is what people do. They show up for the crisis and disappear for the recovery. And Gerald, he told me one afternoon on his porch, he said, Sal, the hardest part is not that she is gone. The hardest part is that nobody touches me anymore. Nobody puts a hand on my shoulder. Nobody hugs me. I have not been hugged in 4 months. 4 months without a hug. Think about that. This man fought in a war, built a life, raised children, and now his biggest battle is that nobody wraps their arms around him. That is a failure of community. That is a failure of all of us. I have a friend, Dominic, known him since we were boys. We are both old now. And about 8 years ago, he called me on a Tuesday afternoon, which was unusual because Dominic does not call on Tuesdays. He calls on Sundays. He is a creature of habit. So I picked up and I said, "Dominic, what is wrong?" And he said, "Nothing is wrong. I just wanted to hear your voice. Because Marie and we have not really talked in months. We live together, but we are strangers, Sal. We are polite strangers in the same house." And I asked him, "When did you last tell her something true? Not nice, not polite, true. Something real about what you were feeling." He went quiet. Then he said, "I cannot remember." That is the disease, not aging, not your body slowing down. The disease is when you stop telling the truth to the people closest to you because it feels too risky. Because somewhere you decided that keeping the peace was more important than keeping the connection. It is not. Peace without connection is just a quiet kind of death. So here is what I told Dominic, and here is what I am telling you. Go home tonight, or right now, wherever you are, and tell someone one true thing. Not a confession, not some dramatic revelation, just one honest, real thing about how you are feeling. Maybe it is, "I am scared of getting old." Maybe it is, "I miss how we used to laugh." Maybe it is, "I need you to hold my hand more often because I am losing my mind over here without it." Say the thing. Say the real thing. Because the fake things are killing you. They are killing your marriage. They are killing your friendships. They are building walls so slowly you do not notice until you are trapped behind them. Now I want to tell you about something that happened to me when I was in my early 70s. I was at a church supper. I did not want to go. My sister Rosa, God love her, she was always dragging me to things. "Sal, you cannot just sit in that shop all day. You are turning into a mushroom." So I went. And I met a woman there. We argued about food, which, if you know anything about Italians, that is basically flirting. She told me something was wrong with my cooking. I told her something was wrong with her baking. We went back and forth for 20 minutes, and my face hurt because I had not smiled that hard in I do not know how long. And I remember driving home that night and feeling something I had not felt in decades. Not love, not yet. Curiosity. I was curious about another human being. I wanted to know what she thought about things. I wanted to hear her voice again, and that curiosity terrified me because I knew where it led. It led to caring, and caring led to losing. But here is what I learned, and this is for anyone watching who has been hurt and decided that the safe move is to close down. Closing down is not safe. It is just a different kind of dying. It is a death with a heartbeat. You walk around, you eat, you sleep, you function, but you are not alive. You are just not dead yet. There is a difference between not being dead and being alive. And the difference is intimacy, not the bedroom kind, though that has its place. The real kind, the kind where you let someone know you, where you stop curating which version of yourself they see and you just let them see all of it. the mess, the fear, the ugly parts. I did not let anyone see those parts of me for almost 20 years, and I thought I was protecting myself. But I was just building a prison and calling it a fortress. That woman from the church supper, she saw through it immediately. She had no patience for my walls. She would look at me and say, "Where are you right now? Because you are not here. You went somewhere. Come back." Nobody had ever talked to me like that. Nobody had ever cared enough to notice when I left the room without leaving the room. That is what intimacy is after 60. It is someone who notices. It is someone who says, "Come back." And I want to tell you something about physical touch at this age, because I think people need to hear it from someone who is actually living it. Touch becomes a language. When you are young, touch is mostly about want. I want you, I want this, I want that. When you are older, touch becomes about need. I need to know you are here. I need to know I am not alone. I need to feel your hand, because sometimes that is the only thing that makes the world feel solid. I hold hands now in a way I never did when I was young, because when you are young, holding hands is a preview. When you are old, holding hands is the whole movie. It says everything. I am here. You are here. We made it to another day. That is enough. And here is the part that is going to sound crazy to some of you. The physical slowdown, the things that stop working the way they used to, that is not a loss. It is a redirect. When the loud stuff gets quiet, you start to hear things you never could before. The small stuff gets louder. A hand on the small of your back. Someone brushing hair off your forehead while you are falling asleep. The way someone says good morning when they really mean, "I am glad you are still here." If you are 40 and you are watching this, start paying attention to those things now. Do not wait until the loud stuff fades to discover the quiet stuff was better all along. If you are 60 and you think it is over, it is not. I promise you. I am 106 years old. I still feel things. I still want closeness. I still reach for the other side of the bed in the morning, even though I know nobody is there anymore. And that reaching, that reflex, that is not sad. That is proof that love does not expire. It does not have a shelf life. Your body might slow down, but your heart does not know what a calendar is. Now let me say something about the loneliness epidemic, because I think it is connected to everything I have been talking about. People are lonelier now than they have ever been, and I think it is because we replaced intimacy with information. You know everything about your friends from their little phones and their posts and their pictures. You know what they ate for lunch. You know where they went on vacation. But you do not know if they cried last night. You do not know if their marriage is falling apart. You do not know if they are scared. We traded depth for width. We have 1,000 connections and 0 intimacy. And then we wonder why we feel empty. Here is my advice, and I am going to be very specific because I think specific helps. I want you to pick one person, not 5, not 10, 1. And I want you to call them, not text, call them. And I want you to ask them a real question. Not how are you, because everyone says fine. Ask them, what is keeping you up at night? Or, what do you need right now that you are not getting? Or, when was the last time you felt really happy? And then shut up and listen. Do not fix it. Do not give advice. Do not make it about you. Just listen. Because being listened to is a form of touch. It is someone reaching across the distance and saying, I see you. You are not invisible. That is intimacy, at any age. I want to tell you one more thing, and then I will let you go. There was a night, maybe 15 years ago. I was sitting on my stoop in Brooklyn. It was September. That kind of September night where the air is warm, but you can feel October waiting. And my wife came out with 2 cups of espresso. She sat down next to me. She did not say anything for a long time. We just watched the street. Mrs. Palermo walking her little dog. The kids from down the block riding bikes under the street light. The sound of someone's television through an open window. And she put her head on my shoulder, and I put my arm around her. And we sat there for maybe an hour without saying a word. And I remember thinking, this is it. This is what everyone is looking for. Not fireworks, not the movies, not the big declarations. This, a stoop, 2 cups of coffee, someone leaning into you because they chose to, not because they had to, because out of every place in the world they could be right now, they chose right here, right next to you. I am 106. I have buried people I loved. I have been so lonely, I forgot what my own laugh sounded like. I have made every mistake a man can make when it comes to love and closeness. But I learned. I learned late, but I learned. And what I learned is this: intimacy is not something that happens to you. It is something you build every day with your hands and your honesty and your willingness to be seen exactly as you are. It does not end at 60. It does not end at 80. It does not end until you decide it does. So do not decide. Not yet. Not ever. Because the best conversations of your life might be the ones you have not had yet. The deepest love might be the love you have not let in yet. The warmest touch might be the one you have been too afraid to ask for. Ask for it. Reach for it. Do not wait. If this old cobbler from Brooklyn can figure it out at 70, you can figure it out right now, today, this minute. Go touch someone's face. Tell them the truth. Sit with them in the quiet. That is the secret. That is what nobody tells you. And now I told you. So go do something about it. Thank you for sitting with me. I mean that. Thank you for your time. Now go give your time to someone who needs it. I will see you in the next one.